Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 in this thing, and today I'm going to show you guys one of my pet projects. I have shown you in the past on the channel how much I enjoy just being a architect for custom cards, and I enjoy creating what-if scenarios, and I like to entertain the idea of what if Konami actually did release support for certain decks, like especially like some of my favorite pet decks. I think I showed you guys some of my like custom Plunder Patrol cards. I try to err in the realm of possibility, which means being realistic and a feasible kind of approach. You can't make the cards too good to the point that it just, in comparison to the other decks that are currently out in the format, it's outshining them by a large margin, because power creep just shouldn't be happening this frequently and so often. It should only be seldom that it happens. But what I did here was I took a page out of Konami's book and I created, I believe, 4 new main deck monsters, 3 new main deck spells, 3 new extra deck monsters, and they all have multiple effects because the theme that Konami has been following, which is a pattern that I'm going to follow suit in behind, is creating cards that have a effect that already makes them playable, effect that gives them value in the long term, and then a bonus effect that shouldn't even be there. Like Poplar shouldn't be. Poplar already being able to search and place itself in the spell or trap zone makes it a good card to play, and then a good card in the long run because it gives you recursion. But then why does it summon itself for free? So I followed that theme because they create a lot of cards that have 3 effects, and there's always a third effect that just feels like that it didn't have to be there for the card to be good. And so I decided that I wanted to break Red Eyes, and I play online with this deck in custom matches. We are going to actually exit out of here, and we're going to go down to my custom cards. We're going to talk about it. This video is mostly for my Red Eyes fans. It is, of course, not real, unfortunately. Red Eyes gets the short end of the stick, even more than Harpies does, which is actually crazy, because you would think the original Gen 1 decks, which would be Harpies, which were basically like the main antagonist, the main protagonist of the show, which were Harpies because of May, the Red Eyes because of Joey, Blue Eyes because of Kaiba. Even though he kind of was an antagonist, he still was on our side. And then Dark Magician, of course, and we can't forget the tunes. You know, these decks, Konami has reinvented them, but they have not really reinvented Red Eyes. So we are going to talk about our custom cards. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to your boy. I'm trying to grow again. I have noticed a little bit of stagnation in the percentage of the viewers, and also the view time, and also the number of views and likes. So if you watch my content, tell your friends about me. If you enjoy it, then show me that you enjoy it. A like is free, subscribing is free, and it helps me eat. And I will always look out for you guys in the same. Let's start with... where should we start? Let's actually start with the main deck monsters. So first, we have a reinvented Red Eyes Black True Alternative Dragon. This is what, in my opinion, what Alternative Dragon should have been. We got one that was just not good. It really wasn't. It wasn't even as good as Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon, and Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon is really not that powerful of a card. It's good for what it is, but like to make one after Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon was printed and model it to be like the alternative to Red Eyes, they really do a poor job. So this is what I decided that it should be, and I named them True Alternative since there is already a Red Eyes Alternative. So Red Eyes Black True Alternative Dragon, stats match. This card's name is treated as Red Eyes while on the field or in the graveyard. You can special summon this card from your hand by revealing a level 7 Red Eyes monster with a different name in your hand. If this card's sent to the graveyard, and that's an inherent summon, if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can add it to your hand. So it gives Gimmick Puppet vibes in a sense. Gimmick Puppets have a lot of effects like that. That just, if they're sent to the grave, you can just add them to your hand. Once per turn, you can target one Red Eyes Black Dragon on your field or in your graveyard. Special summon another one from your hand, deck, and or graveyard. You can only use each effect of alternative once per turn. So because he himself is Red Eyes Black Dragon, he is a true 1.5 card combo that gets you minimum into 2 bodies, which are both level 7, which equals a rank 7. He is Red Eyes Black, so you can actually target his self for his effect, and he will special summon the vanilla Red Eyes Black Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Also, because he's Red Eyes, while on the field or in the grave, you can actually summon another copy of him from your grave if you want. It's not really a big deal. The idea is that the target, you have to summon something else besides the target. So it's kind of worded weird, but essentially what he says is just summon out OG from basically anywhere. So he's an extender, and also he can actually like be a starter because the new support actually is centered around the original Red Eyes Black Dragon being a focal point of the combos. So like if you don't have vanilla Red Eyes Black Dragon somehow in the access of your combo, you really don't get like the best inboard you can have. And he is an alternative, pun intended, because he can be the Red Eyes Black, but like the original one's actually better for Dragoon also. So next what we have is Red Eyes Flare Burst Dragon. So this guy, if you control Red Eyes monster quick effect, you can summon him from your hand. And if you do, you can destroy one card you control. If this card is destroyed, you can. This is a separate effect now. If this card is destroyed, you can target one monster on the field with attack equal to or less than this card's attack. Destroy that monster. Separate effect. So this is his third effect. You can banish this card from your grave. Add one Red Eye spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Flare Burst once per turn. So he's an extender. He can play through Disruption because you can summon him and pop a card you control. So that means he dodges targeting effects like Mourner and Veiler, Impermanence, etc. He can have clean lines into Droplet with Fang Chain, for example, Fang with Chain. So there's like a lot of different lines that he can actually provide for you, just because he is a hand trap-esque effect. And what's cool is the new support has turn 0 plays with Red Eyes Black Soul Dragon, which already was a card that was made. Konami printed it, and the card never made sense, so I created cards that actually made the card that they made make sense. I sometimes wonder why they make cards, and I think maybe in the future down the line, they plan to do something with this, but a lot of the support for Red Eyes doesn't make sense and doesn't mesh, and there's no clear, concise like focus or like inboard or like win condition. Red Eyes doesn't really have a win condition, and a lot of the cards don't mesh well together. So this card kind of ties in multiple of the different supports, including cards like Red Eyes Baby Dragon, which kind of sucks, but it can work. So yeah, he's really strong. He can be an interruption going second. He is a hand trap because you have ways that you can actually get Red Eyes out onto your field on your opponent's turn. In turn 0, meaning your opponent won the dice roll, and you can actually use this guy just to be like a pseudo Ghost Ogre. You have control over the timing, and you can just pop a monster. So he's cool because he can work to beat hand traps, and he can work as a hand trap. He also works as an extra layer on top of your inboards because you're always ending on Heretic Dragon of Spheres. And Spheres tutors this guy to pair him with another new Red Eyes card that I made to make a 2-layer disruption that comes at different points of interaction, and also helps to insulate Dark Ruler. So he's a really nice card. When you see the rest of the support, you'll see how phenomenal he really is. He's not too broken, but he definitely has enough to be a staple. Next, we have Red Eyes Ghastly Tainted Dragon. So this card, I stick with the theme of level 7s with the same statistics of Red Eyes. If you control a Red Eyes monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn during each player's turn, you can target one Red Eyes card you control, destroy that card, and if you do, destroy one card on the field. So he's in combo enabler because he doesn't have to disrupt your opponent. You can actually, popping your own cards in this deck benefits this deck in multiple ways. It provides extra pressure that you can apply to the opponent, and it also, this deck has a lot of graveyard recursion now and floaters, so like popping your dragons and sending them to the grave is actually really good. So this card can be an extender or a disruption. Because he's a quick effect to summon himself, he can come out as an interaction on your opponent's turn. Paired with the other guy we just talked about, you can actually get 2 spot removals. Spot removals to me are better than any type of hand trap. So yeah, target one Red Eyes card you control, destroy that. And if you do destroy one card on the field, non-targeting. Bonus effect, which is the theme that I told you. It's so funny, bro. Konami, they be doing crazy stuff, bro. They just make cards with like 2 really good effects, and they just give it a third effect that like just shouldn't be there. So this is the third effect that shouldn't be there, but I'm following their patterns. If this card's sent to the graveyard, you can add to your hand or special summon a Red Eyes monster from your graveyard with a different name. So he has three effects. One effect to summon himself out, another effect to pop a card you control and another card on the field, and the third effect, if he sends to the graveyard, to add to your hand or summon a Red Eyes monster from your grave, which doesn't target. So it's really, really nice. Actually, a very, very clean card. Ghastly Tainted is like a definitively a 3 of. And lastly, the best main deck monster that's coming out is going to be Dragon Knight of Red Eyes. This card is really clean with it. So I haven't been talking too much about statistics because every monster I've shown up to this point has all a level 7 Dark Dragon with 2400 attack and 2000 defense because they all are modeled to mimic the statistics of the original Red Eyes. But this guy is a level 4 dragon. Thought about making him a warrior, but I also thought he's a Dragon Knight, so he could be either a knight or he could also be partially a dragon. So he could be a hybrid. He does have the wings of Red Eyes and he does have the armor of Red Eyes. So this is Dragon Knight of Red Eyes. Level 4 dragon, dark, attack 1700, defense 1200. You can reveal this card. That's the cost. Reveal this card. Special summon this card from your hand by sending one Red Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or field to your graveyard. If this card, so that's his extension. So Red Eyes actually has extenders now, and they really did it. Retro, not an extender. Red Eyes Black Soul, not an extender. Alternative, really not even an extender. They just don't have. Like, the way Red Eyes is now, it's like, you don't even feel that bad for activating Red Eyes Fusion, because it's like, what is this deck really going to do anyways? So it can actually do stuff. It actually has extenders. So he's very similar to Mathmech Circular. Summon him by foolishing a Red Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or field to the graveyard. But if this card's summoned, you can add one Red Eyes monster from your deck to your hand. So he is very much like Circular. So he extends and he searches on summon. But he has a bonus effect, which is the third effect, following suit with the patterns that Konami has. Once per turn, you can target one Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, destroy, so targeting's cost, destroy one Red Eyes card in your hand or field, then special summon that card. You can only use each effect of Black Dragon Knight once per turn. So he's an extender. He dumps a target for his third effect. So he is a true one-card combo. And not just that, he's one card full combo, by the way. So card's really, really nice. I would say a lot of decks could use a circular. Like, honestly, a lot of decks could really benefit from a circular. I got inspiration from Magician's Souls and also inspiration from Dictator of D when I was creating this card. And I took inspiration from Mathmech Circular. So now that we've talked about the four main deck monsters, we can talk about the spells. First, we can talk about Red Eyes Dark Flare Blast. This is a quick play spell card. It reads as thus: target cards on the field equal to the number of Red Eyes monsters you control. Destroy those targets, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the combined original attack of the monsters destroyed on your opponent's side of the field by this card's effect. Red Eyes has a couple effects to burn. I wanted to follow suit with the thematic that the deck can burn. I did not want to give it enough to be able to FTK like Gimmick Puppets, but enough to have additional pressure that's outside of the battle phase, and to close out games faster, and to also have win conditions in time. Every deck needs it. It is a very solid disruption. It's similar to Flare. It's funny that this card's named Flare Burst, and then Flare, so there's Dark Flare Blast and then Flare Burst Dragon. They have similar effects, being that they can play around targeting effect-based hand traps, and they also are a disruption if they're not playing through. So they're multifunctional and dual purpose because they can have an offensive application of like actually being able to interact and disrupt your opponent's plays, while also having clean lines that play through your opponent's interruptions. So it is an interruption that also plays through disruptions, which makes it very valuable. Economically, the card is not that crazy. It's a neg initially, but because it's a neg initially, you know it's going to have a bonus effect, which is you can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Red Eyes card from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Flare Blast once per turn. This card is integral for your inboard. You're not even using its effect to activate. You're dumping this with your other cards to actually insulate your inboard through Dark Roller, so that your Heretic Seals interaction that I'm going to show you in the combo sequence of this, like the combo portion of this video, is going to show how this card is one of the reasons why you can play through Dark Roller so efficiently. because you'll have like 3 or 4 interruptions through Dark Ruler, and you're not gonna die because they Dark Rulered you. So card's really, really clean. Next up, we are going to talk about Red Eyes Tainted Black. This is a continuous spell, and I really think Red Eyes needs a card like this. This card's actually really nice. It follows a theme of like how Black Metal and Red Eyes Baby Dragon have abilities to equip, and then you have like the Red Eyes Gear Feed guy and the Fang with Chain. I thought, why do we have like this in Red Eyes Slash? That's why I say like a lot of the support doesn't mesh. There's no cohesive, like there's no like way to correlate this to this. Like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't mesh well. So this card also helps the support that already exists to mesh well, while also being a direct support to streamlined Red Eyes, which is what I'm trying to craft here. So it says when this card's activated, you can send 1 Red Eyes card from your hand, deck, or field to your graveyard. That's an optional thing. You can just Foolish when it's activated, which already makes it a starter because of certain cards having graveyard effects that allow you to extend through hand traps or to set up your plays. Once per turn, you can equip 1 card that mentions Red Eyes in its text, or 1 Red Eyes card from your hand, deck, banish zone, or graveyard to a face-up monster you control as an equip spell. Monsters you control equipped with an equip card cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which makes Fang with Chain a really strong card also to make your boards harder to actually break, because this card is always going to be left on your inboards, and whenever you Fang with Chain, the monster that you're Fang with Chaining with is also going to be protected from targeting and also destruction. It also says that monsters equipped, so I'm sorry, let me just go back. So again, it's once per turn effect is to equip 1 card that mentions Red Eyes in its text or in its name from anywhere to a face-up monster you control as an equipped spell card. Monsters you control equipped with an equip card cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. It's important to note that's your opponent's card effects because you still want to be able to destroy your own cards, which is why it is verbatim that way. And they also gain this effect. So monsters equipped with a equipped spell card not only get protection from your opponent's card effects, but also gain this effect, which is once per turn, you can special summon 1 monster treated as an equip card to your main monster zone. You can only use each effect of Tainted Black once per turn. So what does this card offer? It offers economic value on activation because it replaces itself. What else does it do? It allows you to take any card that mentions Red Eyes, basically, and equip it to a monster on your field. That monster will gain an effect to A, be basically untargetable and indestructible. B, also, that monster gets an effect that allows it to become an extender. So that's what this card does. Now, how is this card a starter? Because not only is it a starter because it can send a card to extend, because there's no cards that have graveyard effects that allow this card to be a starter. I didn't want this card to have that kind of like focus. It is meant to be a extender and kind of not the centerpiece. This card will not work by itself because you still need a monster on the field to equip. But what this card does is what I always felt Red Eyes should have been able to do in the first place, and that is this card equips Black Metal Dragon from anywhere to any monster, and Black Metal Dragon gets its effect if it's sent to the graveyard, period. So if you have a monster on the field, what this card is a starter now. And it's not just an starter, it layers your protection to make your boards more impregnable, and it extends through hand traps. So Tainted Black, to me, a phenomenal card. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Now, what we have is every version of Red Eyes, all in the artwork, and this is called Red Eyes Tainted Grounds. This is the field spell of the deck, because, again, this would not be a Konami deck if there wasn't a field spell that searched that had other effects that shouldn't be there. Because this is how Konami makes cards now, so we're following suit. So Tainted Grounds says, and keep in mind, everything that I made, there was an end goal with it. I didn't just make a bunch of cards and just make a bunch of good cards and say, oh, the deck's broken now. I made cards that all have functionality and a purpose outside of just what the card offers to the deck. They have a purpose because the new purpose and the new end goal of the deck is like there's a new win condition. There's actually a true win condition. There's a new end board. There's like an actual end board that Red Eyes has. And these cards all facilitate that while also being supplementary support for cards that already existed in the first place, which is how they are support. Because to me, when you make new support for a deck, If it doesn't function with the old support, then it's not really new support. It basically is replacing the deck as a whole, and now this is the new way to play it. But I like new support to support the strategy that already existed, and that's what these cards are doing. So Tainted Grounds, we're going to read together. Once per turn, you can add one card that mentions Red Eyes in its tech from your deck, banish zone, or graveyard to your hand. So what does that say? It's basically anything that's Red Eyes, whether it's in your name or text. Anything that's Red Eyes. So that means in its name or also in its text, because this is all text. The name and the text is all the same thing. So basically you can add anything. Anything that is involved with Red Eyes, this field spell can add it. Spell, trap, or monster. That includes Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal Dragon can be searched off of this. Black Metal Dragon can also be equipped off of Tainted Black. Why are we doing this? Because Black Metal Dragon was, always will be, and has been forever the best starter that Red Eyes has ever had. Black also is not searchable. It makes no sense that the best card in the deck is not searchable. It's still the best card. Even with all this new support, Black Metal Dragon is still the best card. With the new support, you're able to utilize Black Metal 2 to 3 times in a turn now and get 2 to 3 searches off of it, which is really nice. So Red Eyes Tainted Ground, phenomenal card. Very, very absurd. It's actually really good. So already, without any other effects, just being able to add any Red Eyes card already makes it just a standalone 3 of. Next, we have you can destroy one Red Eyes card on your field or in your hand, and if you do, special summon a Red Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard. Extender. So now it's a starter and it's an extender, and your Red Eyes cards actually benefit from being destroyed. Its last effect is following suit with the trend that Konami has, which is making cards that have multiple effects. An effect that makes the card already good enough to play, an effect that gives it value in the long run, which is an extender, and then lastly an effect that shouldn't be there but still fits the theme of the deck. And that is, if a Red Eyes monster or monsters in your possession is destroyed, including the damage step, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the highest original attack among that monster or monsters. You can only use each effect of Tainted Grounds once per turn. This effectively puts your opponent in a checkmate kind of scenario where it can be stalemate, being that your opponent can't really break your board, but they might have played through your interruptions and made their own, but they can't kill you. So now what it is crackback is going to do your work for you. But if you have applied enough pressure through burn damage playing the Red Eyes cards correctly, what the field spell offers is a new alternative form of protection, which means your opponent has to break your board without destroying it to bypass this field spell's mechanic. If you can't clear my field without destroying my cards, then you're going to lose. Because if I have a monster that just conveniently the lowest attack on my field is 2400 and your life points are 2400 or less, if you destroy any of my cards, you lose. So this field spell can feel like an FTK when enough of pressure has been already applied to your opponent. TKLG made this card, by the way. So yeah, it's a starter, it's an extender, and it adds to this awkward theme that Konami already has, like Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, what is it called? Red Eyes Burn. Like, they have a couple burn cards too. Red Eyes Black Soul actually has an effect to burn. So I kind of wanted to follow suit, but I don't. This deck really is, the way I designed it, you can't FTK with just the Red Eyes cards alone. So I'm happy about that. You can get pretty close, but you can't FTK. So that's the 3 new spells. What we're going to talk about now is the extra deck cards, and then we're going to get into the list, and we're going to get into the combos. So what we have here is pretty much the best go-to for enabling, for enabling an extender. Red Eyes Joey Dragon. This is a Link 1. Its Link requirements are Red Eyes Black Dragon. That's how you make it. It's effectively like, think of Infernoble. They have a card that needs Charles specifically to make it, but it's a Link 1. I kind of got inspiration from Infernobles there. This card's name becomes Black Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, while on the field or in the grave. Once per turn, you can target a Red Eyes spell or trap in your grave, banish that card, and if you do, this card's effect becomes that card's activation effect. So it is giving transaction rollback kind of vibes. You can substitute this card as any one fusion material for the fusion summon of a Red Eyes fusion monster. If you would fusion summon a Red Eyes fusion monster, you can also banish this card from your graveyard as one of the materials for that fusion summon. So it can be used twice. You can fuse from it off field, and then if you fuse again, you can banish it from grave as one of the materials, and it can always be treated as any one fusion material. So this card is allowing Red Eyes to make Dragoon without using fusion, which was the biggest crutch that the deck had in the first place. You don't want to lose access to Dragoon because it does belong to this archetype as well as it belonging to Dark Magician. However, you need a way to bypass the restriction of Red Eyes Fusion. One way of thinking is because this card copies a card's effect on activation, you could Foolish Burial Red Eyes Fusion off of one of your cards that actually dump, and then make the link 1 and copy Red Eyes Fusion and basically get its effect without the restriction, which is another cool way to make the Dragoon. But your streamlined combos can already make Dragoon without adding any bricks, because Red Eyes Fusion is a brick in this deck because you're never going to want to activate it. So yeah, you don't want to draw the card. So this card's really phenomenal because it does what Red Eyes really needs to do. Red Eyes has all these fusion monsters, and like none of them mesh well. You have all these fusions, and like you either play one version of the deck or another, and either way you won't be able to make majority of the fusions. So Red Eyes always had this weird problem where like everything just doesn't mesh. Every time they make new support, it feels like it's not even a new way to play the deck. It's like you either play the new support in a totally different Red Eyes deck, or you're not getting your Red Eyes deck that you have is not getting any better. And that's the problem with the support they've continued to release, is it doesn't make Red Eyes better. It just makes a different version of Red Eyes that also sucks. So now we're going to talk about Red Eyes Twin Dragon. 3,000... oh, I forgot to point out the statistics. The Link 1 just has 2,400 attack, just like OG Red Eyes. And it's every monster is going to be Dark Dragons. So Twin Dragon, 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense, level 7 Dark Dragon. It is a fusion. It requires 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon plus 1 Red Eyes monster. You can special summon this card by tributing the above materials from your field. This is still treated as a fusion summon. So, Inherent Contact Fusion. This is going to be pressure going second because it's already a body that you can convert cards that have been negated by cards like Effect Veiler and Mourners that are used up, don't really serve a purpose, and you can give them a new purpose by making Twin Dragon. This card's name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon while on the field or in your graveyard. These are all important. Some of these cards are always going to be Red Eyes because it's very important for this deck to function. The Link 1 is enabling so much for this deck while on the field or in the graveyard. So if this card is Fusion Summon, you can target one monster on the field with attack equal to or less than this card's attack, destroy it. If this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that monster at the start of the damage step. So this card, it's pretty much going to apply pressure going second. It allows you to break boards without actually using non-engine, which is something that every deck I think needs, just some type of supplemental pressure so that critical mass has more of an advantage as opposed to just making generic cards like SP Little Knight, making Opelousas. Those cards are really good, but it feels good to do the heavy lifting with your archetype specific cards. Lastly, if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Red Eyes monster on your field, double that monster's attack. You can only use each effect of Twin Dragon once per turn. So this card is enabling OTKs, it's breaking boards, it's pressure. It might as well just say Red Eyes Pressure Dragon. So that's this card. It's really good as a 1 of. It can be a 2 of. It's not once per turn to summon. You can just use it as an extender. Convert stuff into level 7s. You know, it's really, really nice. The last extra deck card, and which is also the last piece of support, is Red. This card has the best artwork out of all the cards that I've made so far. This is Red Eyes Flare Alternative Dragon. There's already a Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon, and now there's a Red Eyes... I forgot to put Red Eyes Black Flare Alternative Dragon. This card is phenomenal. This is integral. Your inboard should always have this card somewhere, plus the field spell and normally a Dragoon. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can detach an XYZ material from this card, that's the cost. Special summon 1 Red Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard. And if you do, you can fusion summon 1 Red Eyes monster from your extra deck by using materials in your hand and or on your side of the field. That is phenomenal. This card enables this deck to fusion summon without using a fusion spell. And with the new support, this card basically makes Dragoon. Because the Link 1 is going to be one of the materials that you use for this card's effect. It is optional. You don't always have to fuse, but it can just be an extender blanket. It's always going to be able to be just like the original Red Eyes Flare Dragon, which was detach and summon a Red Eyes. This one detaches to summon a Red Eyes monster instead of just a Red Eyes, dragon. which makes it a better extender, and there's more Red Eyes monsters that it has as options for targets. But also, it optionally can just fusion summon. Red Eyes really wasn't the most consistent fusion deck. It didn't make sense why Konami made like 4+ fusion monsters, and Red Eyes has one fusion card, which is literally Red Eyes Fusion. Nothing makes sense. I don't know why they really they get this deck a bad treatment. So that already in and of itself is enough reason to play this card. It has protection. It's an extender that optionally can fusion summon, but you know there's more. If a monster effect is activated, you can negate that activation, and if you do, you can negate that activation, and if you have a Red Eyes Black Dragon on your field or in your graveyard when activating this effect, you can also destroy a card on the field. You can only use each effect of Flare Alternative once per turn. This card insulates you from the Nibiru. This card protects you from every other hand trap that's not impermanence. This card enables Dragoon. This card enables any Red Eyes Fusion monster, because the Link one, this makes it feel like you can play Red Eyes to the full potential, because you're not pigeonholed into main deck choices to enable extra deck plays. Your extra deck cards enable you to make any Red Eyes Fusion monster you want, so the main deck can have any focus, you can pivot any direction without playing any bricks. You have an actual go-to boss monster, which is this and Dragoon. This enables Dragoon, so every time this card comes out, Dragoon's coming out right behind it. They already are oppressive enough. And then it has a negation that also has an optional effect that if you have Red Eyes Black Dragon OG on your field or in your grave, you can also pop a card in the field. Very similar to Varudris. It's not going to be as oppressive as Varudris, but he brings out a friend that's kind of more oppressive than Varudris. That is all the new support, you guys. I know it took 30 minutes to go through that, but it's pretty important to talk about the nuance too. Now we'll get into the deck profile. This is my Red Eyes deck currently. So we are on 3 Red Eyes Soul. This card had no purpose really before the new support that I made. I feel like I've gave this card a home. A lot of Red Eyes cards that aren't really that good and didn't see play, I gave them a home. I'm not playing a lot of them because they're still really trash. Even with the new support, a lot of them are garbage, in my opinion. They all got a boost because you can do what Red Eyes wants to do more consistently. And most importantly, there's a lot more fun things that you can do. You don't have to go for this streamlined way that I'm playing Red Eyes. I'm just trying to make it competitive while also still being fun. So Red Eyes Soul is integral as a going second card. It's always Red Eyes Black Dragon on the field or in the grave. If your opponent special summons a monsters, you can send this card from your hand or field to the grave. Special summon a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck. Except Soul, you can only use this effect once per turn. This card is really clean because the new cards that I made, which are Ghastly and Flare Burst, can be hand traps. This card is basically like a hand trap. So on your opponent's turn, if they're summoning monsters, this card acts like a hand trap. And Red Eye Soul paired with any one of these 6 cards is a 2-card combination that should be ending turns. It's very similar to Impermanence Multi-Faker or Kirin and Garunix in your opening hand if you're playing Fire King. So it's very, very strong. Its quick effect, which never really comes up a lot more now. Quick effect, target a Red Eyes Black Dragon you control, inflict damage equal to its attack to your opponent. Really, really nice. It's a burn effect that you can actually use. You can really do a lot of cool stuff with this deck. We're playing 3 Ghastly. We're playing 3 Flare Burst. These are all going second / defensive cards. So you have the 9 engine cards and the rest is non-engine. Ash, Imperm, Veiler, Mourner, Nib, and then a copy of Ogre and Droll. That's going to sum up the defensive cards. These are here for their function and also as cross-out targets. The main deck is so widespread, I figured why would I even waste space in the side deck? Some people are on these, some people are not. It's better to have the coverage than like to not have the coverage. So that's all the going second cards. These are also engine cards, which is really nice that they're going second cards and consistency pieces. Now we're going to go for our starters. 3 Red Eyes Insight. In my opinion, Red Eyes Insight is basically like it's the only starter that can extend through one hand trap by itself. So it is technically the best card in the deck. Black Metal just has the highest ceiling, but Red Eyes Insight does search Black Metal because of the field spell. So Red Eyes Insight is still the best card that you can open because it dumps for cost. And I made new Red Eyes cards that actually are not Wyvern and can actually do stuff the same turn. So yeah, Red Eyes Insight's broken now. 3 Tainted Grounds, 1 Terraforming, 3 Black Metal. This is the highest ceiling as a starter. And you have 3, 6, 7, 10 ways to search it, plus the 1-for-1, so that's 11. which means you have effectively 14 copies of Black Metal Dragon, and it's a broken card. This card can get ashed, and it feels so good because you can just keep using it. I'm also on 3 Blackstone of Legend. This card sucks. It has no functionality, no purpose, and no home in Red Eyes currently. And now with the new support that I've created, this card is a 1-card combo in an actual starter. And now its recovery effect is actually really, really good. Like, this card is phenomenal now. It's literally like it's better than the Whitestone. All right. Now we're on 3 copies of Dragon Knight of Red Eyes. This is the circular of the deck. This card is like inherently going to be a 3 of. 1/1-for-1, 3 Tainted Black. We're on 2 copies of True Alternative. The card is phenomenal. It can be a really powerful card. You do have to summon it by revealing a level 7 though, which makes it kind of clunky. Even though you play so many, you're playing a 60 card deck, and the chances of bricking on this, I just wanted to minimize. It is a good card though. And I'm playing 1 Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon. This is a phenomenal extender because you have hard onces, and it's nice to pivot into another extender that you can utilize. The card is actually crazy because you do want OG somewhere in your combo lines. You need it on the field or in the grave. Then we're playing Darkness Metal. This is a Red Eyes deck. It feels really good to play this card in its home. It's used in Dragon Link so much. It's nice that it's a really, really good card in this deck. We have 2 OG. This is not a deck that needs to play 3. It really makes 0 sense to play 3. You can arguably get away with playing 1, but I have combo lines that actually bring out both of them, so it's really nice. It feels good. 2 Talents, 2 Cross Out, 1 Combi. These go up with defensive cards, but they're also to insulate hand traps. This deck is really strong, don't get me wrong, but I didn't build it to be able to just beat 5 hand traps every time. The deck can definitely consistently beat 2 to 3 with good hands, but with the amount of non-engine I'm playing, it's more likely that I'm going to have 1 to 2 engine cards and a lot of non-engine, and that's where these cards are very handy because hands with less engine are going to be more vulnerable to non-engine. Lastly, we're playing 2 Dark Flare Bursts. You arguably could play 1. I burned through 1 in the combo, and I want the option of the second one. I really feel like I can cut this card down because the Field Spell can grab it from Banish Zone. So there's still a minor tweak that I can give. This could be like another Ghost Ogre or like another starter. And then 1 Fang with Chain. Even though it's not once per turn, you don't really need to put your deck, like fill your deck with more bricks. It's a trap. It's the only like true card. Like it's the only like Red Eyes card that I feel like is a brick but is worth playing in the in run, like in the as an end goal, because it does so much for the deck, especially with the Tainted Grounds. Like Fang with Chain is actually really, really strong. It's not one of the new cards. It's one of the old cards that actually landed a home. Like Insight, Stone, of course, OG Flare, Black Metal, Fang with Chain, and Soul. These cards I feel are and Black Metal are all valuable enough to like still make the cut, and they pair really well with the new support. And then the extra deck is just Double Dragoon, 1 copy of Twin Dragon, 2 Red Eyes Joey. This card is just here as a 2 of because the second one comes up and you are going to be banishing it. So I do think it's valuable to play 2. This card is really important. It's always going to be an extender because as long as you have Insight in your grave, this card can copy Insight and get another search. That's how you're always like getting to your Fang with Chain is off of this card. This card is also really nice. I forgot to mention the nuance of its application on the crackback is when your opponent's playing into your board and you Fang with Chain them and Fang with Chain's not on the grave, this card can also copy Fang with Chain's effect and snatch steal one of your opponent's monsters, equip it to this card, and that's really, really clean. So it has a lot of really good utility, to be honest. It's really, really cool. Striker Dragon, 1 Heretic. I just only need 1. 1 IP, just literally to go into SP, sometimes Appaloosa. I don't find myself making Appaloosa with my 1-card combos. It's for my 2 and 3-card combos. It just helps to insulate more hand traps. My inboard is oftentimes always Dragoon plus Flare Alternative, Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, and IP Masquerena with the interaction that I'm going to bring up, which is with Ghastly and Flare Burst. One of them comes off of Seals. The other is added back off of Dark Flare Blast. Lastly, we're playing 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Oh, it is Red Eyes Flare. I thought it was Red Eyes Black Flare, so I will change his name to Red Eyes Flare Alternative. This is Red Eyes Flare Alternative Dragon, and this is Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Very similar cards. We have 1 Draco Sack. I always like any deck that can play Draco Sack because it just outs cards like Skill Drain, and it comes up. 1 Zeus, and then also 1 Typhon. So Now we're going to get into the part that you guys really want to see, which is the combos. So let's get down here. Let's go into dual room. Let's go to solo mode. And then I'll show you guys. Let's see here. So we're going to put everything on the bottom. Let's see. And then we're just going to grab black metal. Show you guys what black metal does now. It's actually absurd. So I'm going to go view. So let's grab black metal. We're just going to special summon him. So we're going to normal summon black metal. Link him off into Striker Dragon. Where's Striker Dragon? Trigger black metal's effect to search any red ice card. And what we're going to do is we're going to add insight to our hand. Then we're going to activate insight. And for cost, we're actually going to dump our true alternative for cost. So dump him for cost. And then we're going to grab the field spell, because it adds any red ice spell or trap. In a new chain, we're going to trigger true alternative to add his self to hand. If he's sent to the graveyard, he gets added to hand. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to activate Tainted Grounds and use its effect to add a red ice card. So we're going to grab ourselves. This should always be part of your inboard. Tainted Black and the field spell. They make the boards a lot more impregnable, because like this, the hidden effect like of burning your opponent, it really comes up a lot when they have to kill themselves to kill you. And then Tainted Ground comes up a lot because of Fang with Chain, so you can choose which monster you can protect from targeting and destruction. So these cards are both follow-up. Every turn this is insane pressure and follow-up. Follow-up here, follow-up there. They're continuous, they're always there, and they help to like cover your boards. They're really, really good. So we're going to add Tainted Black, we're going to activate it, and we're going to dump a red ice card when it's activated. The card that we're going to dump, I created my combos already, I'm just going to show you guys. We're going to dump Dark Flare Blast. Then we're going to activate its effect targeting the Striker Dragon, and we're going to place Black Metal Dragon from grave. You can deck in and actually just grab another Black Metal Dragon from your deck instead, but I actually like to have better top decks anyways, because there's just like, this card's not really going to run out of targets for a while. You're going to actually use so now Striker Dragon's going to gain the effect to summon a monster that is treated as an equip card right now. And it's gaining that effect because of Tainted Black. So we're going to activate Striker Dragon's effect now. And we're going to move up our Black Metal Dragon. And we're going to link these off into a Seals. I thought about Romulus too, and Dragon's Ravine. And it's just like, you can really, there's more testing that can be done to increase the ceiling of your inboard. I know that Romulus is a choke point, but also be an exploitable choke point that can be a hand trap magnet that can really is not like out of the way, and it can just help to like make my opponent like throw their hand traps early, so that's easier to combo actually. So now we're going to trigger the black metal to search again. We're going to grab ourselves a copy of the Knight. So we're going to grab Dragon Knight, and we're going to put him in the spell trap zone, declare his effect. We are going to reveal him for cost, and then we're going to summon him by Foolishing. The card that we're going to Foolish is going to be Ghastly. So we're going to dump Ghastly to the grave. I'm sorry, no, we're not dumping Ghastly, my bad. We're adding Ghastly. So the card that we're dumping is OG Red Ice, the vanilla. So we're going to dump OG Red Ice. I like this art right now. I'm feeling this one. So we're going to dump him, summon the Dragon Knight, and get his effect to search on summon, and we're going to grab Ghastly. Okay, and then from here, we're going to activate his effect, target himself, and we're going to destroy him. He targets Engrave, and then he pops on hand or field. So we're going to target OG, pop him, and then special summon out the OG. Then we're going to link OG into Red Ice Joey Dragon. And Red Ice Joey Dragon's going to get its effect to copy the effect of Red Ice Insight. So we're not going to get to Foolish for cost, we're just going to get the actual effect. So we're just going to search for a Red Ice Spell or Trap, and what we're going to grab is going to be Fang with Chain. There it is. This already is one of the pieces that helps to beat Dark Ruler and Droplets. But Seals also helps to beat Dark Ruler and Droplets, as well as the Ghastly that you're going to have in hand, which is really, really clean. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to activate our Field Spell. Our field spell is going to destroy one red ice card on your hand or field and summon one from your hand or grave. So we're actually going to pop Red Eyes Joey Dragon and bring back the OG Red Eyes Black Dragon. And that's going to trigger the field spell's new effect to burn our opponent for 2400. So this is also a win condition in time, which is pretty clean. And then we're going to go Spell or Trap Zone. We're just going to go Alternative, reveal the Ghastly, and then we're going to summon out Alternative, which is an inherent summon. Then we're going to use Alternative, target himself or the OG Red Eyes Black Dragon, and we're going to summon out the second copy of OG Red Eyes Black Dragon, which is going to be right there. There we go. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to overlay these two here, and we're going to summon out Flare Alternative, and we're going to declare his effect, Detach OG, and what we're going to do is we're going to special summon out our Dragon Knight, and we're going to also use the optional effect to fuse using OG Red Eyes Black Dragon, and we're going to banish the Joey as one of the materials. So now we're making a Dragoon that also was made using a vanilla monster, so he has his effect to pop and burn, and he's still Dragoon. What we're gonna do next is we're going to activate Ghastly to just special summon himself. We're just gonna throw him in the grave because we're gonna summon Ghastly and use him plus the Dragon Knight of Red Eyes to make IP Masquerena, and we're gonna trigger Ghastly's effect to add to your hand or special summon a Red Eyes monster from your grave that's not him. So we're going to add back our Dragon Knight of Red Eyes for follow-up. So there's insane follow-up in this combo. Follow-up through Red Eyes Tainted Black, follow-up through the field spell. And then we're going to activate Dark Flare Blast, banish it to target a Red Eyes card in grave, and add it to hand. We're going to add back the Ghastly. This is an integral part of the combo, because now, like, what happens, this board is very susceptible to Dark Ruler if it wasn't for Fang with Chain, Seal, and the Ghastly in hand. So this board is already enough. Like, this is like an FTK board. I mean, you've got Fang with Chain, 1 interruption. Flare Alternative is a monster negate and a pop, so it can be 3 interruptions. So that can be 2 interruptions in and of itself, so that's 3 interruptions. IP into SP is always 2 interruptions minimum, so that's 5 interruptions. Seal always sums out something that does something, so that's 7 interruptions. Then we have Dragoon, 8 interruptions. We also have Ghastly in hand, 9 interruptions. If we get Dark Rulered, we can still activate Seal, and this is where this interaction is so integral. Seal can summon out our Flare Burst, wherever he is. Summon out Flare Burst. Okay, and I just got to make sure that I worded this card correctly. Okay, yeah, it still works. Alright, so like if you get Dark Ruler, you can Seal, just tribute yourself for cost, summon this guy. And now you'll be able to Ghastly. You can move Ghastly out whenever you need to. And Ghastly's quick effect is to destroy a Red Eyes card. And if you do destroy a card on the field, so you can destroy the Flare Burst, pop a card on the field, new chain, trigger the field spell to burn your opponent for 24, which puts them at 32. And also, you can chain block your Red Eyes Flare Burst, which is going to target a monster on the field equal to the attack, and it's going to pop another monster. So you get a pop off of him, a pop off of this, and you still get Red Eyes Fang with Chain to snatch one of their monsters. So that's like 3 interruptions through Dark Ruler off of a 1-card combo that gets you follow-up. It doesn't really get better than that. I feel like that's tier 1 material. It's consistent. Let's reset the deck now. And now I'm going to show you guys actually, let me check time. If you guys really like this, I'll keep doing more Red Eyes content with the new support. I think I'm going to stop here. That's pretty much the gist of it. Red Eyes Insight does the same thing as Black Metal. The field spell does the same thing as Black Metal. And Tainted Grounds with any monster on the field to equip it to is the same exact combo as Black Metal, because all those cards get to Black Metal anyways. Stone of Legend summons out, this is like one of the weaker 1-card combos, but it's the same combo as Dragon Knight of Red Eyes. And Dragon Knight of Red Eyes is still a 1-card combo that ends you on 82% of the board, I want to say. We're 48 minutes in. I didn't expect the video to be this long. I'm gonna stop here. If you guys really like it, like this video up. If it gets to at least 50 likes, I'm gonna do more Red Ice content. Let me know in the comment sections how you're feeling about it. I know this is exclusive to like a small target audience, but I'm sure anybody that likes Red Ice can appreciate what I'm trying to do here. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't do drugs. Don't hurt your brain cells. Deuces.